All right, guys, we have so much to chat about today. And again, since I started to go live and I did these podcasts, I reposted some of them on Instagram. I've reposted them on Facebook. I've reposted them on TikTok, all over the place, right? And I just got so many people that have questions about this. And so today, I thought a good place to start would be one of the things that I really truly do with parrots, people when they call me and they want to surrender their bird, my goal is not to ever take someone's bird. That is not our goal here at Parrot Rescue Florida. Most people are very capable of handling parrots. Should they be pets? No. With that being said, there are some things that you need to go over in your own circumstances, within your own world. And if you can answer all of these questions, you can probably figure out a way to have them and not surrender them. Or if you just are thinking about getting a parrot, these are some really important topics that you just have to absolutely consider, things that you have to take into consideration. So please, and I will try to respond to everybody that I can, because I'm on my glasses and I don't have a lot of help today, but I'm definitely going to try to respond to everybody. So I appreciate all of you guys so much. Let's do this. So get your notebooks ready, because I've got some stuff to talk about. So first thing that we always tell people, if you people call me and I'm working on my schedule. I'm working on it. I am. I'm just trying to do it right now, like just trying to get used to it. I'm still trying to learn, and I always will repost everything on my Instagram, my Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff, and my YouTube. So I got to get better. I do. It's just so hard. We get so many random rescue calls and stuff. It's so hard to just pick up and leave, or to even do this for a period of time. So I'm working on that, and I promise I will do that, my very best that I can. So today, it's a lot, honey. Here, let me give you one of these. So today I really wanted to talk about one of the things that we do here. Is that happy? You happy now? At Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida is when people call me to surrender their birds. We do not try to talk people into letting me take their birds. That's not what I want. That's not my goal. My goal isn't to take people's birds. My goal is to educate people the best that I can and find out why they're surrendering their parrot. And I think this kind of plays into, should I get a parrot? I really do. Let me turn off my air purifiers. They're so loud in here. Sorry. I probably should have done that before. Topanga, they're loud, aren't they? It's going to be so much better. I'm so sorry. So the first thing that I always tell people is that parrots have to have some type of a routine, a schedule. They're like having a toddler. So if you can't be home a lot with them during the day, then parrots probably aren't for you. And people, there's a lot of people I talk to that work from home that have parrots and are surrendering them. And I usually want to know kind of what their situation is, because I can't change lifestyle things. I can't change if there's an illness in a family. You are moving out of the country, you had to, you have kids, something going on. There's obviously lifestyle changes that just don't have a parrot in that world anymore. And people's lives change so much over the years. So that's never judgment there. I mean, that just is part of life. And so that's just one of those things. But some things that I always tell people to think about and to really, really, really take into consideration is, am I home between 10 and 2 every day? Well, for the most part, at least 3 to 4 days a week. Can I be home between 10 and 2 pretty much on a good daily basis? Everybody's got to go to the grocery store. Everybody goes to church, or everybody has things that come up. Everybody's got to get their kids from school. Not counting all that, on a grand scale, are you guys able to be home between 10 and 2? Why 10 and 2? It's a pretty general statement. I say that because 10 and 2 is basically our schedule, and it doesn't mean it's the end of the world and the beginning of the world or anything like that. I don't live and die by my schedule, and people shouldn't do that either. But as you know, all parrots must be covered by 4:30 every day, and so no parrot should see 5 o'clock. Period. There's a reason for that whole song and all that good stuff. Okay, that's when predators come out. So I like to, and they need 15 to 17 hours of covered darkness every night without seeing 5 o'clock. So put that into perspective. So when you're uncovering them about 9 o'clock in the morning, can you uncover them? And can they kind of chill for a little bit? Can you take them out and put them on Java trees or rolling stands or things around the house? Or, can you hang out with them for a period of time between 10 and 2? And 2 o'clock is usually between 2 and 2:30 is when we get all of our parrots back in their cages, because their cages are their safe space, right? And that's where they need to eat and, drink. I don't ever feed my birds on a stand. You'll never see, and if you see a Java tree that has a bowl on it, that's just like what I'm doing now is I'm giving her some almonds as I'm talking to you, but I don't give them, their food is in their cage, kind of like their safe space, right? So their 10 to 2 time is usually out, and it's rotating. It might be, hey, I'm going to put you out in the aviary for a little while, get some mist. Maybe I'm taking one in for a bath. Maybe I'm going to, put you on a rolling stand while I do a live here on Twitch. Maybe I'm going to go do my makeup, so I need to have another macaw in here. Maybe I'm going to switch Java trees. What I don't do, their out time is never by their cage. And that's one thing that I want you also to think about, is that their cages are safe space. And the easiest way to think about this is, kind of we used to do training with our dogs. So kind of a basic, and you got to remember, parrots are way past dogs in intelligence. But kennels, people say crate train your dog, right? Some people hate that, some people love it, but it works. It's a proven thing. It works, right, Panga? Yes, it works. It does. Are you a good girl? Yes. So the thing about is that it's their safe space, right? It's not their home forever. It's just their safe space. That's where they need to have time to chill and eat and, relax. So when I take them out at 10 and I put them back in between 2 and 2:30, that's when they get to eat. That's when they get to drink. That's when they get to kind of chill out, because by 4:30, they're getting covered. And between 2 and 4, I'm cleaning cages. So I'm still interacting with them, but they're chilling in their cage. And then they know that, they're about to be covered, and that's their chill time. So things do vary every day. They don't have an exact routine of what they're going to do that day, but I do know that they should be out as much as I can possibly handle between 10 and 2. And the 4 of us are home 24/7. My husband works from home. My 2 kids do Florida virtual. I'm home. You got to put that in. The family all has to be a part of it, because you're all the flock leaders. We are not mate or mothers, right? You do not want to be a mate, and you don't want to be a mother. We don't want any hormonal activity from the birds. If they do, then we just put them back in their cage, or we just kind of move them away, and that's about it. So that's one thing I always tell people. Okay, what are you doing between 10 and 2? Is your bird out with you? At least not every day, but like most of the time. What are they doing between 10 and 2? If you're not able to really engage with them between those hours, then that's probably a reason to surrender your parrot. The other thing is financial reasons. Is they are very expensive to manage and crazy. If you're crazy, I'm going to move you back a little bit. Can I move you back just a little bit? Yeah, okay, there. If you're financially strapped, which they are a burden financially, it's a lot more vet bills that come into play when it comes to these guys, a lot more. If you think they're just like a dog or a cat, you are very wrong. They are way more expensive. They are way more work, and vet bills can get extremely high, and it's important that you maintain them. Not just for regular reasons. Birds have an uncanny ability to carry people diseases. So that is one of the main reasons that we tell people, if you think you're just going to go buy a bird from a pet store, I don't care if it's a parrot, keat, like a budgie, or a Moluccan cockatoo. Bird's a bird, parrot's a parrot, right? A parrot is a parrot. They all have the same, it's blood. Blood is blood. They all carry the same diseases. They all pretty much eat the same type of food. There's little minor differences in species, but for the most part, parrot's a parrot, right? So, and blood is blood. So they do tend to carry some pretty bad stuff. One of those things being chlamydia, avian psittacosis. It's exactly what I said. No, it's not sexually transmitted. No, but it comes in the form of respiratory infections and bronchitis and pneumonia, all kinds of stuff. So these are all things that you have to be aware. And are you able to vet these birds properly, get their blood work done properly? Food also. Are you able to do your research? So I feel like a lot of people are. They just don't. And that's one of the things that I always, when people call me like they were ready to surrender a parrot, I'm like, okay, but wait a minute. Have you actually done your research on some things? Because I think you can do this. Like, this isn't that difficult. One of those things is food. Now, is there a lot of information out there? No, there's not a lot of good information. There's a lot of bad information out there. But one of the goals of Parrot Talk Weekly, and like I said, we've tried so hard over the years to, this has just really been an inspiration, just to try to educate people and try to understand. What are you doing? Okay. And try to understand what they need and what people are lacking in education, just that of information that's out there. That's one of our goals that we're trying to do. So I say this again: do you have the time to research whatever parrot you're wanting to get, and including food. That means you don't just go to Petco and see a macaw picture on a bag of food. Guess what? Just because it has a picture of a macaw on it does not mean it's macaw food. I promise you. In fact, 99% of the time, it's probably not, unfortunately. So do you have time to do the research? If you do, then you can probably keep them still. Just make sure you do the right research and make sure you ask the right questions. Parrots should not eat seeds. They should eat pellets. They should have a good pelleted diet. We are not the Amazon rainforest, nor are we anything close to it. We do not have water that is pure enough for an Amazon rainforest, do we? We don't. I know. Come here. And so therefore, we don't have the right water here either. So people are like, oh, I give my bird tap water. Oh, really? You're killing them. So not a good idea. There's you can do sometimes distilled, depending on, like, a toucan needs distilled, but you can also do RO water would be the best, reverse osmosis. That'd be the best situation. Another great situation would be, ideally, if you had to do like a bottled water. What do you want, baby? Come here. She's very anxious. I don't know why. Come here. Come over here. Are you being silly? Here, you want another almond? She's being a goofball head. You want almond? Go, big girls. Is that better? Is that better? Here she is. She's right here. She's right by me. I just can't. There she is. That's Panga. So those are just things I ask people when they're about to surrender birds. Like, why are you doing this? Let's see what we can do to have your birds stay with you. And again, I can't do lifestyle changes. I can't help your financial situation. I can't help those kind of things. Like, those things I just can't do anything about. But I can help you with some of the research. We can help you with, just some simple rules, right? So you guys know that the 10 to 2 thing is just a big deal. Like, if you know, 10 to 2 is like, that's when I'm working. I'm out of the house. I'm not here. I'm not even close to here. I'm not even in a situation where I can even be here if I wanted to be. Sorry, I'm trying to move my camera here for you. Then probably a parrot's not a good idea for you. That's just the truth. They're a lot of work, and you, for the most part, need to be able to be with them during that time. Another thing is are you able to clean their cages properly? And I find that, like, a lot of people are able to do it. They just don't. And so it's another reason it just kind of baffles me. But I ask this question because parrots don't want to be dirty. And a lot of people have this stigma of parrots. Like, birds are icky, birds are gross, birds are this, birds are that, right? But the truth is that birds are not gross. Birds are not icky. Birds don't even want to be dirty or gross at all. In fact, they're just happen to be in a cage. And so it's our responsibility, and it's a lot more than a cat or a dog, because they're confined a little more, to clean them. So it also means, like, bathing them, like, 3 times a week, like full immersion baths. Misting doesn't even count as a bath. Can you do that? It's like having a kid. Like, can you be a stay-at-home mom? Kind of. It's kind of what it is. and I say that lightly because they also need to be able to know that their cage is their safe place, and it's not a scary place, that it's a good place, and that if you have errands to run or there's a couple days during the week that you can't be with them, they're going to be fine. They won't have separation anxiety. That's another thing. So it's like a fine line, right? I know it's a fine line, but it's a good line. Yes. So that's the other thing. Like it just making sure that you're able to really just keep up on that. And I think that's a huge deal. And it's really a simple question. If you are a college student trying to get a parrot, and I don't care if it's a parakeet budgie, like a budgie, or like a macaw, think about that. Think about that. It's the same rules still apply. They still apply. Are you around between 10 and 2? Probably not. I'm going to say probably not, but maybe you are. Maybe you do a lot of online classes and it's just easier for you. Maybe you're studying zoology and this is a great way to learn. There's all kinds of situations that I find that people are in. So these are the things that I ask people and I really want to know. Health is another thing for you. Are you healthy enough to raise a toddler? Are you in the situation in your life that you can raise a toddler? I find that there's a lot of, honey, you're loud, like in my mic. What, you want to go up? Maybe you want me to put you up in a little bit? So you want to? I might have to go put her up. But if you find that you're in a situation in your life where you're like, I'm not raising a toddler anymore. I'm done with that part of my life. I'm done with that part of my life. If that's your thought process, time to move on. Time to move on. And sadly, I hate to say this, sadly, they have between 5 and 6 homes in their lifetime. It's just because they live people lives. They live people lives. So I think having their best interest in mind is one thing that I will always appreciate somebody for. Even if they think they're just doing a horrible thing by surrendering their bird, I will never, ever judge somebody if I think it's really, truly in the best interest of that person. And I will always tell you guys, if you ask me honestly, what do I think is the best thing? You straight up ever ask me that, I will tell you, no, I think you're just fine. Or I'll say, you know, she might be in a great situation, but maybe she could have more interactions somewhere else because it's like a toddler. So, and I think of like my own, my parents, like they're not going to adopt a macaw at this point. I mean, my parents are close to 70 and the bird's obviously it's going to outlive me, so I'll definitely going to outlive my parents. And so what is at that point like their best way? They can help me. Well, they can foster for me, but when people call me and they're like around my parents' age, I start thinking about that because like, okay, I have people call me and ask me for baby macaws that are like in their 70s. That's going to be a negative. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm going to be really honest about that. But overall, if your situation is good, then there are exceptions to every rule. There are some great people that can adopt older birds too, that need homes, that really need homes. It's the younger birds, I would say, when I say younger birds, I say under 25, that probably really need a lot of interaction with children and other birds and things going on just in general, just life. So if they're not having like a flock of things going on or a lot of energy in their house, it's probably not the best situation. Probably. So again, exceptions to every single rule. I'm telling you guys this. These are just some general things that I try to talk to when people call me and they're like, hey, Beth, I really want to surrender my bird. I'm done. Like some people are just fed up. They're tired and they don't know what to do. They're in a state of, I don't know what to do. So these are the questions that I start asking them. Are you home between 10 and 2? Are you capable of cleaning a cage very well every day? Do you have the mindset of, I'm okay raising a toddler at my age, whatever that may be? 15, 25, 76? Answer the question. Are you okay raising a toddler? If you are, that's good too. So these are all things I'm going to ask. Then I'm going to ask about your health. Health, you need to be a healthy person because that bird needs you. And if that isn't the case, don't be afraid to admit that, because you're, in the long run, you're going to have more respect for doing the best thing for the bird, and not for, not for yourself, because I'm just keeping this bird because I just feel like I should keep this bird, and I'm capable. I might not be fully capable, but I just want to just keep the bird because I'm not somebody who surrenders their bird. I have that a lot too. And that also is really a hard thing for me to I get really frustrated with that, because it's like, okay, I understand what you want to do. I get it. And I can respect that you want, you've had this commitment, but at this point in your life, is it really the best thing? Have you answered all those questions, that I just asked you? Like, is this really a good thing for you still? And so those are the things that I think that you guys need to think about for if you are calling me to surrender a parrot. I also get a lot of calls about, should I buy a parrot? What should I do? Some of these same rules kind of apply. I mean, it's just like, okay, are you in a house or a condo? Are you going to have neighbors that are going to get mad? Do you know how to keep a bird from screaming? Do you know how to have it involved with your family? Do you know how to be a flock leader and not a mate or a mother? I mean, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is being a mate or a mother and not a flock leader. Most people go out and purchase or adopt a bird, a parrot, and whoever the person is adopting these birds out just gives them the bird without a lot of information and expects them to just pray to God, I guess, that they know how to do that stuff. But the fact is it's not easy. If you don't know how to be a flock leader, you will never have a successful parrot situation. It will always be at risk. In the wild, they mate for life, right? So you can't take that out of them. That's instinctual. That's instinctual. So, again, it was from something I'm trying to answer. Sorry, guys. But yes, I absolutely think that it is instinctual. So you can't take that out of them. So if you can't come in the first few minutes and know how to be a flock leader, you need to learn before you get a parrot, any kind of parrot, but especially big ones like Topanga, macaws, cockatoos. I mean, that's like level Z. So maybe start like A or B or C first. So, your situation isn't going to take your finger off if you make a wrong one, right? I know. So yes, being a flock leader is another thing. So I guess in the same conversation, if somebody's calling me and they're like, hey, Beth, I think I'm ready to surrender my bird, I'm going to say, all right, tell me your situation. Why? I'm scared of my bird. You're scared. Okay. Get that a lot. My bird bites me. I can't handle it. It used to be my husband's and it only likes my husband's. Red flag, red flag. It only likes females. It only likes men. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Nobody should tell you. Absolutely nobody should ever tell you it only likes men, it only likes females. Now, I've had situations where, yes, they will gravitate to certain, male or female or kids or whatever. But generally speaking, that is a red flag of somebody was being a mate or a mother, was not being a flock leader, because a flock leader is everybody in the household that's a human that's going to interact with that bird. That means me, Dan, and both of my kids. We're flock leaders, and all of our birds know it. They all know it. They all respect them. They're handled by all of them equally. We all handle them equally. If they do anything hormonal, or they will, because they will try. If they do anything hormonal or try anything hormonal, they go up. It's put them back in their cage, walk away. That's it. And I think, that is one thing that I think is the hardest thing to teach somebody, is how to be a flock leader, because people don't, there's definitely not enough information on the internet about that. I mean, you see the whole stereotype of birds on your shoulder, hand feeding. I mean, I think hand feeding is obviously it's a terrible thing, it's frowned upon now. I think that stigma is finally starting to go away, thank God. But if anybody tries to tell you that hand feeding a parrot is okay, that's a problem. Okay, that's a big problem. Hand feeding a parrot is not okay. In fact, it's not only frowned upon, it can be disastrous. It can put the bird at risk. Does it create a bonding experience? Yeah, the wrong kind. Right? You're not a mother. You're not a mate. Now, is it okay to be able to hand feed them when you have to? Absolutely. If there's a situation where the parents aren't able to, or they die, or they reject the baby, whatever, of course. And it also makes them really great at taking medications later. Right, Tanga? Right? I know. She's like right out of view. She's right here. But again, I'm going to try to speak generally with this. But generally speaking, we are not ever going to, if a breeder or a pet store tries to tell you to hand feed that baby, no, absolutely not. No, that is an uneducated pet store or breeder who's trying to flip birds. That's a red flag. And I don't see a lot of reasons why there would be any subjective reasons to disagree with that. Like maybe a couple, because there always is. But usually, I would say if that pet store or breeder is, or even if it's a place like a rescue, like myself, we're not hand feeding babies here. We need the parents to feed them. They can create scissor beak, it can create crop infections, bacterial infections, all kinds of stuff, terrible things. So it's really, really risky, and it's not okay. And it does not create a bonding experience. I can promise you, I've only had to do it with one of my birds ever. Like I had to, didn't have a choice. I've had to do it a couple other times in different situations with a baby, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster, and I never would do it again. It's something I can do, and it's not something I want to do, and it shouldn't be something that you want to do either, because you do not want to create a mate or mother atmosphere with an exotic parrot that will eat you up later. Or what? You're not getting up. What do you want? My hair? No, I'm not stepping up right now. We're not doing that right now. She was like, why can't I step up? No, because I'm not stepping up with you right now. You're going to hang over there. Later, my boo-boos. Okay? I love you. So I think that's another thing to think about as well. So back to, why should I give up my parrot? Or why should I not give up my parrot? We don't want anybody to have to give up their bird. We don't want that. That's not our goal here at Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida. Our goal is to teach people, is to give put a lot of education out there, is to make sure that everybody is well equipped before they make the decision of getting a parrot or surrendering a parrot or adopting a parrot, whatever you decide to do. It's a huge decision. It's a huge decision. We don't take every bird in either, because my decisions that we make for our family and the birds that we take in are just as hard as the ones that you're making. Like, I have to think about, do I have the space for this bird? Do I have the financial means to continue what is being left at my door? Because we're family owned. Anybody that has exotics knows we are not state or federally funded. We don't pay for people's vet bills. Nobody, y'all should know that, right? We don't pay for people's vet bills. This isn't like a humane society. It's a different thing. You are responsible to pay these vet bills for yourself. You have to do that. We will help you with blood work. We will help you get the vet done, but that's your financial responsibility. And again, that does, continuing on with, you were to bring them to Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida, what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? And what does that mean for me? I have to think of those same exact things. I have to be like, wow, okay, I know the financial burden that the bird is going to cost me a month, and am I able to do that right now? And we are very good about making sure that we have our pets, and we call them pets. All of our birds are pets. We call them pets, but our parrots are part of the family, and that we can afford the ones that are here at the moment and giving them the most enriching, amazing, incredible life ever. And if the parrot is happy, then we are too. We'll make it happen. If we cannot keep a parrot here, because I do not hoard birds, if there is nobody that's ever going to tell me I hoard birds, because I do not do that. But Nansen, kind of crazy. What I do is I do find and make sure that I have a great circle of trust and people that adopt our birds and adopt our parrots. And I can honestly tell you all that I know pretty much for every single one of my parrots are that I've ever adopted out, know who they're with, and I've probably communicated with them in the last month. So I definitely have that under control. And I think about that stuff I take it really seriously. And especially because Dan and I, do exhibition. We want to bring our birds, our pets, the ones that we decide that we're going to keep. If we train them long enough and extensively long enough, we want to be able to bring them to exhibitions, like events, like zoos, right? And go, to events and Jimmy Buffett memorials, the 100 million I've turned down over the years, and raise money for Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida so we can do more. And everybody wants a parrot at the party. Who doesn't, right? And the birds that we are going to sign up for our exhibition license with, which you cannot take a wild parrot out, a parrot. If you think it's a pet, you can't just take out in public anytime you want. It doesn't, unfortunately, that's illegal. And you have to have an exhibition license to do any kind of showing of that bird. Now, if you're taking it for a walk on the beach or something, that's different. But when you are actually going to bring your bird somewhere to a public place, you have to have an exhibition license, period. There isn't any room for FWC there's no budging there. It took us a long time to get our exhibition license, and it's a lot of work. So when we decide to keep a parrot, or we're like, you know what, they're going to stay in our sanctuary for a while, we're going to really extensively work with them, let's use them for educational purposes, we pay for their exhibition license. And those are the birds that we really take in. And that wasn't our focus when we first started Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida. That was not our focus. And now it's something that I have to consider every time I bring a bird in. Is this a bird that I want to keep? Do any of your birds perform in any capacity? Oh yeah, yes. That's what I'm kind of talking about. I do not have show birds. Now, actually, we did actually adopt some Vegas show birds, believe it or not. At one point, they were surrendered to us. One of them is now a therapy bird for my friend's son who has autism. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, so that was, but because they were hybrids, they wanted to bring them to natural encounters for, at Disney, at Animal Kingdom, because that's where they worked. And Disney does not recognize, nor does Natural Encounters recognize hybrid birds. So we do not promote hybrids here either. So that was something that they didn't know or consider. And so they brought their Vegas showbirds to us. And so that was interesting. And they could do some cool things. And yes, my birds can do tricks. My birds can do things. I don't make them do anything. They do what they want to do if they're happy. But that's what our whole exhibition license thing is kind of part of, like, the whole Parrot Talk Weekly is just bringing education to people. And I think it doesn't matter if they just sit there and look pretty for a picture, right? I mean, everybody wants a picture with Topanga. That's great. But what can we do while she's here? What can we teach people about her? And that really, she shouldn't actually even exist. She's like an F3 hybrid. I mean, does never happen in the wild. Her Tropicana macaw is not a thing. That's a man-made thing. And what happens is as you create these hybrid macaws, their health goes down. They become infertile. They become blind, deaf. Their lifespans are sometimes cut in at least half sometimes. So yeah, these are all things that we want to teach people. So it's more about the education than the actual tricks or performing, I guess, part of it. But also, how to approach a bird. And I think when people see, like, how to approach a bird, that's a really interesting, that's a really fun thing. We always teach people, these are wings of a predator. So you always approach a bird with your arms behind your back. Adults actually do that naturally. Usually kids don't. Kids flare and flap their arms and do all kinds of things that are scary to birds. So we try to teach them. And actually, once kids kind of figure out how to do that, they think it's kind of a cool trick. Right, Topanga? Can you take her downstairs, Anne? I think she wants to go downstairs. Do you mind? Yeah. Yes. Can you take this? Take her? Thank you, my dear. So anyway, yeah, I would say that as far as like to your question, it's, the performing thing is just kind of like a piece, just a piece, but it's not really like, I don't like to call it perform. We're doing this for education, and education really only, just education. It's not, it's not anything else. So it's more of a, you know, kind of a, like I think the beef of it is not anything but education, because the more people know about these birds, the more they're going to realize they're not really great pets. They're just not good pets. They don't make it. They shouldn't be in my living room. I mean, they should not be in my living room. I look at this, I'm like, this is really crazy. Like, as I love them, and of course, my family we have a whole connection with these birds, but they shouldn't be in my living room. And so I think bringing them out into public and being able to explain to people a little bit more about just my experience and what I know about these birds would really help. And these calls that I get too about surrendering, okay, Beth, should I really, people, when I talk to people about surrendering the birds, it's usually they're at a limit. Like, they haven't just made this decision to call me overnight. They've been thinking about this for a while, and they finally reach out, and it's like, it takes a lot for them to do that. And then they reach out. So I'm going to have these questions for you, and I'm never going to judge you. I just want people to do it for the right reasons. And I want you to consider everything, before surrendering your bird, or before adopting one. Definitely before adopting one. It's all the same. I mean, really, it's just, can I afford this? Am I of the age where I want a toddler in my life for a very long time? Am I keeping anything from the bird potentially that could harm them in the long run from being a better pet to somebody, if that's what they are, if that's, they're not if they're an aviary type pet. Some people just don't want a pet. They want a wild exotic parrot, and some of these rules don't always apply. I mean, they're going to be mean and aggressive, and they're going to bite your finger off, but that's what they do in the real life. I have nothing against it. Trust me. I love wild exotic parrots, and I have friends who free fly theirs over the Grand Canyon. Are they nice? No, they're not nice, but they're what they're meant to be. They still do recall training with them. It's really, really cool. But Dan and I mostly teach people how to have pets, because I think people go into having a parrot with the intention of having a pet, most people. And they're just not good pets. So they can be, but you have to really understand how to be a flock leader. You need to be in good health. Like, you should be in good health. You should be in a good financial situation, at least a decent one. You should understand that you're going to have to get down on your knees and scrub their cage every single day, or you're going to have all kinds of bugs. You need to understand that 10 to 2 thing. I can keep these birds out to between 10 and 2. You need to understand that they should never see 5 o'clock, ever. They shouldn't see 5 o'clock. My birds are covered between 4 and 4:30. They need 15 to 17 hours to cover darkness. They should not be left uncovered. You're going to have a very scared parrot. That's one of the things I find that's very fascinating to me, is I see these birds that have never been covered, and they're out. If they're like near a window or something like that, they are never going to fully feel safe. But they adjust very quickly when they actually are covered, and they adjust, and it's an amazing, crazy difference what that bird will do and how that parrot will act to you if they feel like they've had enough sleep and enough covered, safe darkness to feel comfortable. So why is that? Why do birds need this whole like covered darkness thing? Like, they have to be covered? Yes, they do. Okay. The reason is, and we're talking about captive parrots. I'm going to kind of compare it to the wild. In the wild, right, we go outside. If it's 5 o'clock, I don't care what season it is. Okay. I know their circadian rhythm. Again, that's 12 hours is their sleep in the wild for survival and not for captivity. That's for the wild. 15 to 17 hours, yes. But by 5 o'clock, they're looking for a safe place. They're looking for cover. They're looking for shelter. They're looking for something, their nest, their covered space, because what comes out at 5 o'clock? All of the birds of prey, the hawks, all that, they're out, and they're circling, and they're looking. And these birds are absolutely prey. They're prey. They're not predators. They're not the birds of prey. They are prey. So I'm lunch is in their head, and I mate for life. I'm lunch, I mate for life. Those are the two things birds are constantly thinking. I'm lunch to somebody. Somebody's going to eat me, and I need a mate for life. That's what they think. That's just how they think all the time. So we are battling those two things all the time. So in order to cover them, making them safe, it's a really weird theory and actually kind of a dumb one, but because in the wild, they're already kind of finding their safe space by 5 p.m. or before 5 p.m. really, they feel comfortable and comforted and safe in their place that they find to rest for the evening. If they don't feel that, then they're always going to feel a little bit of scare, a little bit scared, a little bit of terror, and a little bit on edge. Even if they've been in the same space for a very, very long time, it doesn't matter. They still feel those things. And we know because when we get the birds here, we're like, oh, wow, like this bird has not had comforted, secured, covered darkness at all. And we can tell because they like it. They like it. As long as it's in a quiet space, they like it. The whole theory behind it is to do that in captivity, and to make sure that they are covered before 5 p.m. and that they don't ever see 5 p.m. They have that 15 to 17 hours of covered darkness, like every night. That's routine. Is that it actually just because birds are stationary when they sleep. They're stationary. They don't do really anything. They don't even really eat, drink. They don't even poop. And they save all that for the morning poop, which is just ginormous. So the whole thing behind that is they simply don't have enough time to think about hormonal things. Simple as that. And it works. So by giving them cover darkness, they're like, oh, it's time to go to bed. Find my safe space, my perch. I'm going to roost up there. And they usually just sit there. Now, there's certain species of birds, like African gray, macaws. You give them a centimeter of an open blackout cover. And I mean, they need a blackout cover. Okay, like cockatiels need some light because they have night terrors, right? But macaws, grays, cockatoos, they have like 1 little inch of light coming through. They're going to be down there looking for you. That's what they do. That's what they do. So it's got to be a full blackout cover. Cozy covers are my favorite. I think it's spelled like 2 Z's. They're very hard to find. You can find them on eBay, but they're fantastic. Always sold out, but they're true blackout covers. Sheet doesn't cover. I was in a blackout cover. A sheet might work for a cockatiel. They need some light getting through. No, you can't. They're not going to not breathe under there. Never had any issues with that. That always kind of makes me laugh. I mean, I get why you think it, but no, they're fine. They can breathe. And unless it's a cockatiel, they need a little nightlight or a half cover or something, so they can see because of night terrors. Other than that, every bird needs a dark out, like a blackout cover, like a full blackout cover. There's just no exceptions. And the reason I say that is because, the same rules apply to all parrots, right? All of them. It doesn't matter if it's a budgie. It doesn't matter if it's a macaw or a cockatoo. But if you make the mistake with a macaw or with a budgie or a cockatiel or a conure, the consequences are very small. It's nothing. You put a conure on your shoulder. Is it ideal? No, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're not supposed to have birds on your shoulder. They shouldn't be really above your eye level until you have like some established, amazing relationship that's just been like, this is like years into it, right? But you put a bird on your head, so the consequences are small, but they're still the same. They're still gonna learn bad behavior from that, and they're still gonna possibly think that you're the flock leader, and you're not. You do that, you make those mistakes with the macaw, you're gonna have a lot of aggression. You're gonna have same with the cockatoo. As the bird, the bird species getting more difficult ones, those consequences are bad. Like, they can send you to the hospital consequences. and you can have an aggressive bird, and who wants that? Like, most people don't want an aggressive parrot. Like, I mean, some people are fine with it. They want a big aviary outside, and they want to have them be crazy and free and wild. Beautiful. That's how God made them. But I find that most people we talk to really want them to be a pet. And these are just the things that you have to do to have a actual pet. So, it's really difficult sometimes to talk to people because I know it's not like talking about a cat or a dog. I have to tell you guys point blank, hey, we're not going to be able to, if you can't do this stuff, then yes, I can take your parrot and we will do it for you. But I always try to educate people first. I think that's the biggest thing. And again, we're not here to judge. This is not what we do. I have made all of these mistakes, every single one of these mistakes. The reason I know some of this stuff is because I've made the mistakes myself, and I've learned the hard way on most of these things. They aren't these people, that these brands that carry the seed diets are just crap. I mean, I fed my first budgie of seeds his whole life. I mean, Petey, he was like indestructible. I don't know how I even had that bird. It's embarrassing. Like, I think about God, I loved him so much, but I had no clue what was going on. And I had so much information and knowledge at the time. This was like obviously 40 years ago, but the same time, same thing is like, now we're battling information out there that's kind of the same, but now we know better. We know that parrots can't have seeds. Just because there's a macaw picture on a bag of food does not mean that is macaw food, right? I actually like to say, if you're gonna do parrot food, my recommendations are usually Missouri, Rowdy, Bush, or Harrison's. Harrison's has some great products. I love their pellets, but they do put some sunflower seeds into their mixes, and I hate that. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. So yeah, I definitely, just do your research on that. But Missouri is a great food. Do people say, okay, I mix my birds' food in there? They mix it, they're just gonna pick out what they want. So we have to when, as a rescue, think about our situation is that we have to take things the hard way always. We don't know all the time the situation the bird came from. Not always. I mean, we do sometimes. We can also, people sometimes lie to us, so we don't know. We have to just assume that the bird's, had a crappy diet for most of its life, and we're going to have to probably do seed rehab. We do not give birds options. It's not a cat or a dog. You don't have to, gradually transition them into food. That is such a misconception. No, just cut the crab as quick as possible. Like, cut it out. Whoosh. Cold turkey. Absolutely. I mean, the more damage you do, seeds are fine for a treat, but do we eat Snickers bars every day? No, we're not flying or running 40 to 60 miles in the wild like they do, and 46 miles or burn off Snickers every day. Would we pick it? Yeah, of course we would. We'd pick the Snickers over the dried pellet in our, food. But it doesn't mean it's, the right thing to do. So for their health. So this is the kind of stuff that is so important that we have to learn. We have to just start getting this information out there so that these pet stores stop marketing this food. Supreme has been a great food also, but what really makes me mad is they do like a fruit blend, and anything that has like a dye in it. I mean, I don't even feed my birds a whole lot of fruit. They don't really need a lot of fruit. I mean, unless you have a toucan or an eclectus, there's just not a lot of fruit that's necessary. It's great for a treat, but it's sugary, and it's like a hormonal trigger for them. So why do that? Why? Just forget it. Like, they need veggies. But if they're getting a good, hearty, pelleted pellet, I know that some of these rescues come in, they're not going to know what chop is. They're not going to know how to eat fresh veggies. They probably never had it in their life. So I have to assume that's the case, and I'm going to always present them with some fresh chop. But if they don't eat it, I don't have to stress out that they're going to die because they're not eating the right food. They're going to have everything they need in that pellet. If they need a little boost of probiotics, or I can get powdered stuff to put in their, in their pellets and such like that. So there's always that option too. So with all of that being said, today, I hope that this was informative for you guys. I really do. Again, our goal is just never to take people's birds. Our goal is to inform people and educate. It's also not to judge. We don't judge anybody. If I'll always be as honest as I possibly can be with you guys. If I can't take your bird in, and there's a reason, I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes people think that rescues are vets for some reason. We are not vets. We are not a rehab center. Okay, we don't do that. That's not what we are. If that bird has a medical condition, If it's plucking, people love to say that's anxiety. That's probably not anxiety. It's about a 3% chance. No, that bird needs a vet. It doesn't need a rescue. It needs a vet. And I am not here to pay for people's medical bills. No exotic rehab center or exotic rescue center is a rehab center. They're not veterinarians. They don't have that on staff unless you're a zoo. So you've got to take care of your own pets' medical conditions and their health and their well-being first. And again, if you're not able to do that, you really have to think about, all right, maybe it's time to surrender and I need to take to the vet, or I need to give the donation to the rescue. At least it's a tax write-off, and let them vet my bird for me and get the proper blood work done. So have you gone through this checklist with yourself? Have you been able to say, yes, I can be home between 10 and 2. Yes, I'm of a proper age that I know that I can raise a toddler. If you can't do that, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. It's just something that you have to be honest with yourself about. And also, where is that bird better off? Too, that's another thing. It's just like, where is that bird better off? Is it better off with, am I trying to get rid of this bird because I'm stressed out and I have too much going on at work? Like, okay, well, maybe let's try to deal with that. We can maybe deal with that, right? Like we can figure that out. I think we can do that. But I think there's some things people just don't want to be honest with themselves either. And again, we're not here to judge. We're just not here to judge people. That's just not what we do. I will always have respect, and if I can take birds for you, we will. If we can't, we'll tell you why. There's usually a reason, or we're full, or we have no quarantine space. We do things by the book here. Like, we quarantine our birds, we get their blood work done. Their health is the main, absolutely number one before we bring them into Parrot Rescue Florida, the sanctuary, the aviary, mingling with other birds. Their health is the most important thing. It should be the most important thing for you too. You should always want what's best for your animal, for your pets, all of your pets. Exotics just need a little more than the average. So keeping that in mind, I would say the other thing that I do tell people a lot is if they're going to surrender a bird, usually we actually get a lot more younger birds than we get older birds, but older birds, I would say like over 25, 30, okay? That they're going to have the bigger the bird is, the less time they're going to have hard time adjusting. The smaller birds have a very difficult time. The whole birds die of a broken heart thing is a real thing. It does exist. It absolutely exists. With like lovebirds and they cockatiels and all this, they are conures. They're very sensitive to change, but only if it's been for a very long time. Like, you've been with this bird for like 90% of its life. I think at that point, someone tried to actually surrender an 85-year-old Amazon the other day, and I couldn't do that because I was like, he's gonna die on my watch. He's been with the same family, like these two families, like the same generation of families for that long. I don't know that he would do okay here. I think it's better to try to keep that guy in the family. I don't know if he's going to live forever, but I will be honest with people. And absolutely, I think everybody has to take that in consideration. And before you bring them, just make sure they're healthy. Make sure they're healthy. You've done your part. And if you can't do your part, tell us, because we have situations where, no, we are not going to pay our vet bills. We can't. We are not set up for that. No exotic rescue is ever. They're not. And if they're telling you they're full of crap. They're not going to vet your bird. Promise you. Nobody's going to just walk around paying for people's vet bills unless they're a millionaire. But with that being said, I think you just need to really think about just being honest with the rescue too, because there are things we can do for you guys. Like, if you really need to surrender your bird, and I actually think it's probably for the best, then we can set up fundraisers. We can do fundraisers for you to help you. Happy to do that. We have people that donate, anonymously to things like that. We have people that just are like, no, let's put a donor box link out there to our website to help you out. we always need cages. We always need that kind of stuff. We always need to, without rust, like good ones that are nice. But I think just remembering just a few of these little tips and just thinking about the overall happiness of that bird, of what that bird's that massive human lifespan that it has is so important. And I will have more respect for the honesty coming to us than I will for somebody who is trying to make excuses that aren't logical. Like, hey, I'm getting to this age and and I'm done. Get it. I understand. That makes sense to me. Or, my lifestyle's changed. Sorry, my grandkids are my focus now. That was one I had the other day. I think you should focus on your grandkids. I do. I think that you should. If that's going to take away time with your bird, then that should be the topic of discussion for you. That should be what you should really think about. Can I spend time with my grandkids and have my parrot too? Maybe. I don't know. It's very possible. You got to decide that. Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. And really look at your parrot and your parrot's age as well. If this is a bird that's under 25, that still has a lot of life and is a bigger bird and just is wanting to be with a flock, and you don't think that you're able to really give it all of this time and able to cover it every night at the right time and understand the hormonal triggers and how to be a flock leader and how to be how to not be a mate, how to not be a mother, understand what they have inside of them that is instinctual that we cannot take out, then I think those are all things you really need to consider and think about before calling us. And then call us, tell us the truth, and let us help you if we can. Because I'm gonna ask you these questions, and I'm gonna want the truth, and I'm going to respect you no matter what you decide. If you can even answer yes to all these questions, Beth, I do have time. Beth, I do have, I am at the age where I can clean and get down and do all this stuff. But you know what? I'm done. I can't do it mentally anymore. That is okay. Still going to ask you the questions. Still going to ask you. But remember that before you go to adopt, these are things that people start asking me. Into sometimes 2 years of having a parrot, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 20 years. I have a lot of respect for people who keep their parrots for a really long time, but I also have a lot of respect for people who know when it's time for them to go to their next home. And I hate saying that the fact of the facts is that parrots have an average of 5 to 6 homes in their life. That is just a fact. That is statistically true. Do I like that statistic? No, I'd love to change that statistic. We've got to change things about our lives, like our lives, people's lives, captive lives, like if we want these pets. Or we need to stop and think about what we're doing, and is it smart? Should these birds even be in my living room? I don't think they should. I really don't. I think it should be a lot harder to acquire a parrot. That's why we're going to ask you questions. But again, we're not gonna judge. We're going to help. I know that it can be a really big struggle when you have birds that you've had for so many years, or you've wanted one for so many years. And you're like, God, all I want is a macaw, or I want is a cockatoo. And I'm like, God help us all, okay? Because you're gonna regret every second of this thing that you're telling me. Because if you don't have the right tools and the right mindset and the right frame of mind and the right things to go into this kind of stuff with, you will fail. Not just yourself, but the parrots. You're going to fail them because their brains are created by God. I'm lunch. Where's my mate? I'm lunch. Where's my mate? How do you become a flock leader, and how do you keep them feeling safe? Those are the things we're going to be talking about all the time here at Rainbow Parrot Rescue Florida on Parrot Talk Weekly. So hopefully I'll get a schedule out for you guys soon. If you have any other questions, you can email me. I'll try to cut this and post some more stuff on my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever else I have out there. I will try to post it. thank you all so much for listening, and thank you for asking questions, and thank you for giving me some inspiration to address some things I think that need to be addressed. And I definitely can tell you I am not all knowing and everything. I learn every day from these birds. I tell you what, like when I think I've got something under control, it's like one surprises me. Always one will surprise me and just shock me. Even birds, I'm not like huge just African gray fan, but like I have the best African gray right now like I've ever had, and I just love her. Like I don't even know. I've never thought I'd say that. But they're hard, okay? They're hard birds. But there's an exception. They all have different personalities, and so what we just try so hard to do is give you the general idea, the general information that comes into us, the stuff that we learn the hard way. We're like we're definitely like just going. That's us. That we're definitely the practice. But because of that, and because of all the experience, I am so happy that we can finally share some information with you guys. Do our best to give you the most honest answer that we know is out there, and the best answer for the bird, because the best answer for the bird isn't always to come to a rescue. It's just not. Sometimes the best answer is for them to stay with their owners and to make some changes. And that is our goal. That's our goal. But with all that being said, the end is always what is in the best interest of that parrot. Is it to stay with me, or is it to give it a different life of a little bit more enrichment or time, or maybe it's more baths. I can't give it as many baths. Maybe in the long run, I can't afford the rest of the healthcare for this bird. In the long run, I can't see myself, always being able to cover this bird before 5 p.m. If you can't answer those questions, then let me know. Just be honest. And we are there for you. We want to be there for you. That's why we are doing what we're doing. And that's why I decided to do Parrot Talk Weekly, because I want this information out there, and I want to share it with the world, and I want people to be happier and more armed with knowledge for the future. So until next time, guys, I will see you guys on Twitch, hopefully later this week. I promise. I'll try to get a schedule soon. I promise. And you're so welcome. Thank you so much. And oh my gosh, a green cheek and a Quaker. Let me tell you something. I gotta go on a little rant with him just for a quick second, because Quakers are so cage territorial. They are one of the harder birds. People don't realize green cheeks are so docile and so sweet. And then you get Quakers that are just like massive personalities. And I know that you can tell, I'm right. Quakers will just rule someone. I mean, quickly. Yes. And that's exactly. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the whole thing with the Quaker. I have got to go on this because this rant is important with Quakers. We've had many of them, and they're our funniest birds. And I have some great, great stories of Quakers, but you have got to be a flock leader with a Quaker, because when they start just liking one person, that is their mate. Like they become mean. And they're really not mean birds. They're actually really cool. If you can get control of who's of everybody in the house that is in your household, and that parrot understands, like that Quaker understands you're the flock leader, they will stop. They will be nice to everybody. They will learn respect. They learn it quick. It's just, you have to, there's so much I could go into with the Quaker, but we can talk privately about that. We can definitely do like breeds and different species of parrots and stuff like that, because Quakers are just a whole topic of crazy. I will tell you, because of their excessive cage aggression, just in general, I mean, one of the biggest things I'll tell people, if you have a Quaker, I mean, any parrot, like rule number one is make sure they can step up from their cage. And that's for their own safety. It's not a question, it's a command, right? God forbid there's a fire or something. That bird needs to step up. He can't be all like in his cage, because I know how they are. So with a Quaker, and this is again a rule for every single parrot out there, but like this is one of those birds you can't make an exception with. They don't play around their cage. You have to take them away from their cage where their cage is not visible, and that's where you do all your interaction with your Quaker. it will make a difference, I promise. I've had lots of them, and they're hilarious. I mean, and they can talk, and they will do so many cool things. But the ones that start really getting like they're in, it's like I have my play stand that connects to my cage, or I let him go on top of his cage, or I put nesty toys in their cage. Oh, dear Jesus in heaven, you're going to have a problem. Promise you. And eventually, if that conure, God forbid, landed on your Quaker's cage, the Quaker will take his toes off. We get that all the time, all the time. I can't tell you how many toeless Quaker conures I've gotten in because of Quaker all the time, because they can just get crazy. So with the Quaker, conure, you have so much room for mistakes. Like you have tons of room. Quakers, no. So I just tell people, just take your little guy, and once you get him out of the cage, put those little, let me show you, these little, the little play stands that you have. I get them at bird shows. Thought I had one in here. I have one in here. Let's see. Like one of these, like here. These are great. So I put my Quaker on this, or my conure, and I am doing makeup, so I'm gonna put it on the stand here. But it's away in a totally different room from where his cage is. And that again, a general rule for all parrots, a great thing to know for all parrots. Just when you are interacting with them, that's why we cannot stand cages with play tops. I can't even go there because I'll get really go on a rant, and not everybody's going to agree with me. But if I have people that say, "Oh, my parrot has a play top," take it off. It's not. His cage is a safe place. His cage is where he's going to eat and be comforted and go to sleep, and it's a happy place. It's comfort. It's their happy place. Everything out of their cage is playtime and fun, and it's not where their cage is. And if they start putting those two things in their brain as one, you have a really mean bird, a very cage aggressive bird. So whoever came up with the idea of play tops is dumb, okay? Because I've learned the hard way so many times I can't explain it to you. And it doesn't matter. I will take these little stands and put them on there, but then I will make sure I move them over to a play stand upstairs or in a different room. And my Java trees I always keep them. My Java trees have to be lower than my eye level, so I always make sure that my birds are away. Like we have Java trees all over our house, but we have two in the bird rooms, but we don't really use them. We move, if they're going to be on them, we move them out of the bird room. They're just more there because that's where they fit right now. But all our Java trees are all over our house, and we do move them around. Same thing with outside. So it makes it different and interesting, but my bird rooms are my bird rooms. So when those bird rooms are quiet at night at 2 o'clock, when I put them in and we start cleaning cages between 2 and 4, then by 4:30 they're all covered, and it's like lights out, and we're away from that room. In the morning they're uncovered, kind of wake up, then we take them out of their cage one by one, and all their interactions are always away from that room. They're not in that room. They're not in that room ever. They're not. They're just in that room. We're going to get them in and out of their cages, and maybe come in and say hi or clean their cages, basic stuff to get them out, get them in. So hopefully that helps. But think about that too, guys. And so if you're going to go buy a new cage, do not look at those stupid ones with play tops, because if you do have one, take it off. Take it off. Throw it away. Like, throw the play top away. It does not need to be on top of your bird's cage. It should not be on top of your bird's cage ever, 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 ever. Just get a play stand that's mobile, can move around, it's on wheels, or find a Java tree, something cool. And that's where your interaction is going to be in a different room. And ideally with something like a Quaker, where the bird's vision of the cage is not even in sight. So, all right, guys, there's our rant. Thank you all so much again for watching. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to have a lot more coming up with lots of topics to cover, hormones, and oh my gosh, all kinds of stuff. And we're just going to be a lot of repeating of the same stuff over and over. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you guys. And I just reiterate, I never claim to know everything. I still learn from these, and I learn from you guys. So tell me your situations. Tell me your questions. Please message me at beth@rainbowparrotrescueflorida.org. You can email me there, go through our website. But let me know what your questions are. What are your concerns? Because that's what's going to give me more topics to cover. And we've got lots. And I will absolutely cover yours, I promise. Bye, guys. Have a great rest of your day and happy Monday. Bye.